Now that Phoenix has national, was taking their licks. Oh, it's by far the Clippers. Though, now, albeit without Kristaps Porzingis and that injury he suffered, though, get over the playoff hump. You're able to knock them. Oh, my goodness. Here we go again. And I think you need your best guy out there. Again, with Jazz upper brass for this house of COVID. He's covering up his eye after he's a home. That, guys, is the great 25 years. Finally, for one game. But Ja Morant is the truth. I am telling you, fellas. Good evening, everybody, and welcome into another edition of the Sports Lounge. Live here, folks, on the MI6 Sports Network. Coming away, folks, here after a week or so of downtime. Obviously, as you can tell, I'm kind of battling a bit of a summer cold right now, but we are, folks, glad to be back on air, and more importantly, glad to bring you, folks, our first live guest here on the lounge here via the MI6 Sports Network. We are heading out, folks, to Maryland and welcoming in a member of the U.S. Women's National Hockey Team in the PWHPA New Hampshire region. Hayley Scamurra joins us here tonight on this Tuesday night. Hayley, again, we sincerely thank you for joining us here tonight, taking time out of your Tuesday. How's everything going tonight? And again, we thank you again so much for being here.
Yeah, hi. Thanks for having me. Things are going well here. Just relaxing, enjoying time with family while I can here.
That is all that matters. And again, folks, as a reminder, again, as you perhaps know, though, as well about what has, in fact, been going on over the past week, past couple of days, for that matters, we told you folks again, in wake of the very unfortunate passing in the news, again, of Jamie Huntley Park, a referee that I'm sure Hayley can share some good stuff about. But again, of course, Jamie Huntley Park and her husband, Ryan, passing away in a very tragic accident on Friday here in San Diego. There is a scholarship fund up and running in Jamie's honor for the girls team, which she helped coach here in San Diego. So, of course, if you want to help out the cause, you can visit the website link provided. And, of course, find out more information by also finding out more about that via the San Diego Angels and their girls hockey club Facebook pages and stuff of that caliber. But again, folks, Hayley is joining us here tonight on the program. Again, our first guest here on the Sports Lounge on this Tuesday night. So, Hayley, we're going to kind of talk about everything in retrospect, of course, your career, obviously your time with Team USA, the new cause in place by the PWHPA to kind of get a substantial league up and running for all the players, not just you guys with the national team, but every player that's playing women's hockey, and we'll have some fun at the very end. But, Hayley, of course, I think some people may or may not know, but your dad, Peter, actually played in the NHL for a bit with the Capitals. I think he was there for about 4 or 5 years. I know he battled some injury, but did in fact play, though. And I believe he was also the highest drafted American player in the NHL at that time. Hayley, how much did your dad really influence you on playing hockey when you were perhaps growing up back east?
He was a huge influence. He was the one who kind of got me into the game, put me in my first pair of skates, had the backyard rink ready to go. My older brothers, I have 3 older brothers who all played too, so I just wanted to be out there with them and do what they were doing. So I think, they were all big influences in my life.
Hayley, is it important, I think, though, for kids, especially, I'd say, for young girls that maybe have had a play, maybe had a parent play the sport, maybe their brothers played, or they would always be at the rink on a Saturday afternoon and spending their whole day there. Because this past AHL season, I work in the American Hockey League, and the San Diego Gulls played their whole year in Irvine, California this year, where I believe you guys had your practices for the rivalry series game at Honda Center. And it brought me back to my time working in junior hockey, of seeing all the families out there spending their Saturday mornings out there, their Saturday evenings. And it brought me back to like the nostalgia of seeing a rink being occupied, from 8 a.m. till late at night with, girls games going on, co-ed games going on, tournaments going on and stuff like that. So did that perhaps also maybe help out that with also having siblings playing the game that also kind of in a way got you into playing the game as well?
For sure. I think I just wanted to do what they were doing. And I think the visibility of it all is super important. So you see, other girls playing or your siblings playing or something, it makes you want to go out and do that, see that you're capable of doing that as well.
And I think the big word that's been used has been representation, has been a very big word used, I'd say, over the past year, 2 years, if not longer. A couple of quick thoughts. Both John Alcorn And also Adam Barber writing in that, of course, their thoughts with the entire hockey community again in wake of course, sadly, Jamie Huntley Parks passing on Friday with her husband Ryan here locally in the San Diego community area. So Hayley, of course, your dad plays in the NHL for a bit, and of course, you're growing up and playing the sport. And you elect to go to Northeastern University, which I'm sure a lot of people don't know a lot about Northeastern, whether it's with football or basketball. But was there a reason why you chose to go to Northeastern, maybe perhaps over like the Wisconsins or Ohio States or the Notre Dames or the other big name women's hockey schools out there?
I just fell in love with the campus there. I fell in love with the city of Boston when I visited. Northeastern's in like the school itself is its own campus, and then right outside is the city of Boston. And I loved that aspect of it. I loved the coaches. They were, they saw you as a person first, then a hockey player. And I fell in love. It was just like, all right, this is it. You just kind of had that gut feeling when you went on campus.
Hayley, I'm sure you're the same way, but I know a lot of professional athletes, yourself included, would probably agree that when you go to a college environment like a 4-year university, you fall in love with that city. Whether it's Boston, there's Boston College, obviously with Megan Keller, I'm sure fell in love big time with Boston during her time there, and I think you talk a lot about that because my uncle and aunt were UConn women's basketball season ticket holders for a long time. And my uncle would, be working around stores or around the campus, or he'd be on campus, and he would see all the players out there, but they would be, super well behaved, obviously, but they were, very, approachable and stuff like that. But I think, though, you brought up a very great point, though, about how that the coaching staff and the school really saw you not just as an athlete, but as a person, that they got on that personal level. Do you perhaps think, though, that maybe that there are some colleges out there who probably either don't value the academic side of the university, or they really don't see you as both the player and the person that you are?
Potentially. I think there's some schools that are very caught up in just the athletic side of it. They want to make sure you're just succeeding athletically. And I think at Northeastern, the school itself is really, very academic focused. And I liked that part of it. I loved going to school. I loved learning new things. And, so that's just something I saw that they valued, and that's what I valued as well.
Yeah, I mean, I personally valued it as well, and kind of in a similar spot. When I was in high school, I played baseball, but I did play roller hockey when I was younger for a few years. Mm-hmm. And same way, the one school I went to, which I had my cozy job was student-run television of my freshman year. And then at the same time, though, is that when you go, in fact, and try to play, they don't see the player; they just see the person. I went to a different school after I had transferred out, and saw that they cared about the athlete, but also cared though as well about the athlete, but the person as well. And I was I had excelled leaps and bounds a lot better at the other school than at the other one. Real quick, a couple more thoughts. Real quick, Casey King writes in to say good evening, Callan, welcome back, and also a warm welcome to Hayley joining the program tonight. And also Isaiah Leung, our co-founder of the network, says, well, what's up, Cal? Good to see you. And glad you're feeling better. I feel better. I just wish I was like full throat, sadly. And Hayley, one quick question from John. He's asking, Hayley, he's asking, for someone like himself that is interested in learning more about the sport, where would he start more so? Does it start next year with the Olympics or this year with the IIHF tourney in August?
Well, yeah, if you want to get right into it, the World Championships in Calgary now, August 20th to the 30th, I believe. That'll be some really good hockey, really fast-paced, very physical. Should be exciting.
I'm just going to pencil in USA Canada for the gold. Is that a fair assessment, or do I have to put Finland like somewhere close? And also as well, Isaiah, with a warm welcome to Hayley as well. Again, folks, Hayley Scamurra, Team USA. Women's hockey, PWHPA, also joining us here tonight here on the MI6 Sports Network. So, Hayley, I'm sure a lot of people that probably are new to the game or probably getting involved, though, know all about Kendall Coyne Schofield. But you had the chance to play with her, though, in college, I believe, at over at Northeastern. What was that like, though, seeing, being able to play with her then, now playing with her now, and also with her being the captain of the national team? I mean, that's got to be pretty awesome to see your line mate go from your college line mate into the captain now for the national team. That's pretty awesome.
It was amazing. I am honored that I got to play with her, and to play on the same line was just surreal. I learned a lot from her, just her work ethic, how competitive she was, just how she was in the locker room, off the ice, on the ice. And she was our captain at Northeastern as well, but she's just grown so much more, in all these years. And she's even a better captain now. And she just focuses, she's so selfless as a captain. She really focuses on every single person on the team, making sure that everyone's having a good experience, making sure everyone's playing at their best, being their best. And, her work ethics makes everyone else work harder. So she's just a great person to be around.
Hayley, what kind of leader is Kendall? Because I know that I think, and I would probably, I don't want to say I speak for the team, but, having watched the women's team very closely. And I know that when Megan Duggan retired recently, that there was some pretty big shoes to fill, though. But how has Kendall been, though, kind of, taking on that captain's role with the national team, with her prior experience, those two, as the captain over at Northeastern as well?
I mean, she's been amazing. She, like I said, she leads by example, but she also, speaks when she needs to speak, and she makes everyone around her better, because she's always working her hardest. So you have to kind of match her level at all times. And, like I said as well, she's a very selfless person. She's very focused on making sure that everyone is doing okay. She checks in on everyone, and, she's just a great leader, great player.
And it's very valuable that he had that leader, I think, in any team sport. I think it's kind of a bit magnified in hockey, kind of having, that person to look to. Some more thoughts real quick. Hayley from Johnny says, I never have watched women's sports, but I definitely, though, do want to start. And again, August, I think, is a great time to do it because, again, all the national teams are playing in the IIHF tourney. John, though, agrees. So with your point, though, as well, Hayley, I agree that more schools need to see the athlete as a person first, and also that exactly a team experience is it's a team experience and not a me, neither experience. Where I think Herb Brooks, Hayley said it better during the documentary about the 80 team in the early 2000s, where he said he had to create or help create like a, we, us, and ourselves attitude, not a I, me, myself attitude.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely, for sure. And also, John says about Kendall, that is a true leader, thinking about their players first and foremost. And, Hayley, speaking about your time, though, at Northeastern, I say this a lot to people about my time playing baseball. There's always one season where you're like, oh, my goodness, everything finally clicks. That was me my senior year of high school. I wish it was like freshman or sophomore. But, your junior campaign, I think you had 43 points. And I think for your career, you were a plus 81. Like, no one, I think, ever finishes plus 81. But, is there, if you were to probably think back to your days in college, though, what year do you probably say is like, oh, my goodness, my game is finally, clicking on all cylinders? Is it your junior year, or is it during your whole time, though, at Northeastern? But there's got at least one year, though, where I think in every athlete's mind, it's like everything finally clicked after all those years of hard work and dedication to the game.
Yeah, I think junior year was definitely my breakout year in terms of stats and all that stuff. I think I grew into myself, got a little more confident in my role on the team. And again, playing with Kendall is just super. Her and Denisa both were just amazing to play with. Anyone could do well, I think, with them. And, I think sophomore year I was actually doing really well. And then I had an injury that ended that season for me halfway through. So that I felt like I was almost hitting my stride that year as well, but it got cut short a little bit. And then, I think I've been growing as a player ever since, junior year.
And as the old saying is, you can only go up from here, and it's been nice to see it going up and up from here. But again, folks, Hayley Scamurra, Team USA Women's National Team, PWHPA, sitting here and joining us here on the Sports Lounge tonight for our first guest interview of the program. So then, Hayley, after your time in college, though, the NWHL kind of gets either started or is in fact in operation around 2015, 2016. You're headed to you're drafted to the Buffalo Beauts, I should say, in 2016. You get 4 points in the final series, and you guys win the inaugural championship trophy. And I think that Blake Bolden was on that team, who's become a very good friend of mine in her time here in Southern California. But I think that team was pretty stacked, I'd say, that first year during the early start of the NWHL. But Hayley, how special was that season, but also more importantly about getting that championship victory for Buffalo and for that franchise?
Well, yeah, that was a special season because I came in right after college ended, and then I went right into the professional team, played a few games, and we ended up winning, which was just, it was so surreal. It was really fun. The girls were all great, really welcoming, and it was definitely a big upset for sure. And then just, were you asking about my last season with the Buttes? Because then Blake was on the a later team.
Ah, gotcha. Yeah. How about your whole time though, just in the whole league in general? Because I know it was kind of maybe a wee bit brief and stuff like that. But how was though, kind of being a part of that league in its early stages, essentially?
Yeah, I mean, it was fun to see it, grow. And then when we were bought by the Pagulas in, oh gosh, 2017, 18, I'm not entirely sure. Our team, it was just so much fun to be on. We were treated really professionally. We had all the resources we needed, and we had a really good team too. And it's just, all the girls were just so much fun to play with, and we had a blast. I mean, we got skill sessions, twice a week in the mornings. We had practices 3 times a week. We had workouts. We had, you know, food before and after games and practices. It was just anything you needed, we had. And a lot of it was because of the Pagulas and how they, ran our team.
Haley, how important was it though for like the early stages of trying to get a women's league built to some type of a stable basically like stable part of the totem pole, but having like the Pagulas again, who I believe own every major league franchise in Buffalo essentially, or but having the backing though of like a NHL ownership group like either the Sabres or the Bruins or the Rangers or one of the big teams essentially, or a pro, or a NHL team at least having that interest or at least investing in the women's game, at that stage of the NWHL's time being around.
It's super important. I think that's what we're fighting for right now with the PWHPA, is because we need those resources. We need the support of of the big league and of, men's hockey in general. We need their help to, get that visibility out there, because we're not really given the resources that a league needs to be visible and to be viable.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of female athletes I talk about those hurdles, and I think you guys have been probably the most, along with the WNBA, probably the most vocal voices out there. USA Soccer, USA Hockey, WNBA, women's basketball. I think even softball has been raising, their red flags, their concerns, and having their voices heard. Kind of in a way like at long last, and then I think it's been just great to see that happen. Then, of course, Haley, around 2019, though, you get that call, get the email, though, USA Hockey selected you to the national team. What is that feeling like? Because I can only imagine, though, because, I had a cousin of mine who missed out on the 2008 Olympic Games by like 1/1000th of a second in swimming. And I can only imagine what that emotion would have been like to get that, get that call, like, you're a part of Team USA. What was it like for you? Like, where were you? Who'd you call? What was that feeling like to be able to call, get that call and say, hey, Haley, you're going up to Team USA?
I remember I was actually in grad school at the time, and I was getting ready for finals, and I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. And then my GM at the time at the Beauts texted me, and he's like, you need to answer your phone. I was like, why? And he's like, the U.S. women's national team coach is calling you. And I ran out to like the hallway, and I was like freaking out. And because they needed the alternate at the camp, and it would have been my first camp since I was like 14 for USA Hockey. And so I was just ecstatic. I called the coach right away and accepted. And I was, I went to the winter camp 2 weeks later. And then I believe I found out right after that I made the rivalry series team, and then just kept going from there. It was just unbelievable.
That's so awesome. That is so awesome. I actually wanted to rewind a little bit and go back to 2018. Of course, Winter Olympics are going on in South Korea. Of course, Team USA does win the gold medal, and I know that I know that you weren't on the roster that year though. But that team though, I just felt like that team was bound to have something special happen because that they had to, endure the heartbreaks of 2010 and 2014. I'm sure you and I share the same thing. So like we're watching the games, just like not again in 2010, 2014. And then I think, and I'm sure watching in 2018, like, oh my goodness, here we go again.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think anyone out there, Haley, who probably had no interest in watching, the women's hockey team play, because it was, oh, it's all about the men, finishing in third place. But, hey, Team USA is playing Canada for the gold. And anybody who was out there watching that game, I mean, I literally had to turn my back and not watch the TV when, Maddie was trying to, stop Augusta and Spooner and Jenner.
Yeah.
It's like, I can't watch this. It's worse than, it's playoff hockey, I think, magnified by 1,000.
Yeah.
With it being the Olympics, and obviously with this being the third chance that Team USA has to knock off Canada. But Hayley, I'm sure that you're probably watching the game, obviously rooting on your teammates, and maybe and obviously rooting on Team USA. But obviously, you watch the game, you see the shootout, you see them win, and you see them explode in jubilation. What was it like, though? Obviously, not being a part of that roster, but still seeing all these players and seeing your teammates who have been trying to get over that Canadian hurdle for the past 2 games, finally get over and climb that mountain and win the gold.
It was super exciting. I remember staying up late and watching that game, and because I know a lot of the girls. I've played with them, or I grew up around them, and played with them, against them, all that, and just to see them, be able to win in such like a dramatic fashion was really, really amazing to watch.
Hayley, I think we'd be remiss, or at least I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the fact that some of your teammates have retired, though, over the past year or so. Both Jocelyn and Monique Lamoureux, Megan Duggan, as we kind of mentioned a little bit earlier in the show, and also Casey Bellamy retiring just a few weeks ago. Hayley, I'm sure that obviously people look at Megan as having like one of the bigger like legacies, or Casey having a big legacy. I think that all 4 of these players are going to have a lasting legacy. Because I think with, Jocelyn and Monique, that they basically, without them, there's no gold medal in 2018 with the tying goal and then the shootout winning goal. Obviously with Megan, with her work on and off the ice, though, with, with negotiations, obviously with Casey, with how she was playing defense, though. Hayley, if there's anything you'd like to pass along about those 4 players, because again, I know that they mean a lot to you, and as much as they mean to the entire USA Hockey Federation, and for that matter, USA Hockey in general. But is there any parting messages or anything you want to bring about how special those 4 players will be, probably for maybe going forward across the board for all of USA Hockey on the women's side for sure?
Yeah, I mean, all 4 of them were monumental in the negotiations in 2017. Where they boycotted the World Championships and fought for what they deserved, and they've made it better for us players with USA Hockey, and that was a lot of effort, a lot of time that they didn't have to put in, and to make it better for the people after them. So for that, everyone's always very grateful to them. I never had the chance to play with Megan Duggan, but I've heard how her leadership, and I've heard about her her spirit on the team and stuff. And the Lamoureux twins were really fun to play with. I got to play with them a few times, and their competitiveness, their drive was contagious for sure. And then Casey, I got to play with a lot, and she's just very kind. She's like that calm veteran presence that you want in the locker room, and she talks to all like the newcomers coming in, makes everyone feel comfortable. It's a little intimidating coming in your first time, and she's really good at going up to people, making them feel comfortable, and that's a talent. I think that's that's something you need in your locker room.
Yeah, definitely. Again, you need that like steady leader, that calm leader, maybe that vocal leader to kind of keep players in place. Again, folks, Hayley Scamurra joining us here tonight from the USA Women's Hockey Team and also the PWHPA. Hayley, 2019 also, we kind of moved back into 2019, though. But again, the most recent IIHF World Championship tournament was held pre-COVID, of course, in 2019. And you guys pull out that victory. A lot of new faces were on that roster. I believe it was your first, one of your first victories with Team USA, which included Annie Pankowski, one of the SoCal kids being on the roster. Again, a lot of new faces kind of coming in, though. Obviously, Hayley, I think the phone call is one thing to play for Team USA, but how about getting that first gold medal, that first major victory under your belt with Team USA, though? What was that like for you guys to win that? And again, a very exciting fashion, though, too, that night as well.
It was insane. We were playing Finland in Finland. They were going crazy. And I mean, the building was just like vibrating. It was crazy. And then, for it to go into overtime, it was, oh my gosh, it was really scary, but it was really exciting. And, yeah, for my first time, I had my family there to celebrate with, and it was unbelievable.
I mean if we thought the 2018 gold medal game had twists and turns, I think that game, Hayley, had more twists and turns. I believe, if memory serves me correct, there was like a 20-minute review of like a potential like goaltender interference call, and it's like they couldn't get the right angle. They went into the box to review it. They came out, they huddled, they went back. It was like a weird back and forth. I mean, like, what's the emotion like on the bench though, as you're watching this delay like go on and on and on, and there's like no like final verdict given about if it's a goal or no goal?
It was insane. Well, because they had scored in overtime, and so they all cheered, had their helmets off, they were crowning the goalie, so we were just like devastated. But then our goalie came back and she's like, guys, that was 100% goaltender interference, like there's no way. So we're like, all right, and then they're reviewing it. I think it actually took 12 to 15 minutes to review.
Jeez,
so we are just standing on the bench, they're all still with their helmets off, and we're just like, please, like, and I'm having hope. I'm like, all right, it takes a long time, so maybe that means they're turning it back, so once it went past that like 5-7 minute mark, I'm like, okay, they have to be like turning it back here. So, but then the fans were not happy.
Yeah, because I mean, I remember that review. Just like, how long has this review been? Like, I mean, I've seen my fair share of lengthy reviews, but I don't think I've seen one as long as that one that we just alluded to. Because that was, I mean, it's either like you either want to like break your stick in half, or you're just like super nervous. Like, it's almost like the Marshawn meme of like covering your mouth. Like, how much longer can this thing go? Oh, man. One quick question, Hayley, coming in from one of our good guys, Brandon Herrera. He's asking, Hayley, what is one thing that you'd like to be remembered for when your career does come to a close? Very good question.
I would like to be remembered as someone who always, worked their hardest, was kind to people off the ice, and made people feel happy, I guess.
I mean, that's extremely extremely on point, because I say this a lot though as well, Hayley. And especially to kind of get people involved in the women's sports. I'm a very, as you probably don't know, but I've been a very huge like believer that women's sports have to be on even par with male sports. And I think that the best example I could give out is February 8th of 2020. You guys come to Anaheim, California to play Canada to wrap up the rivalry series. Now, you guys already had won the trophy, technically, with the Game 4 victory over Canada in Vancouver, or Victoria, though it'd be like the day or two beforehand. But you guys get to play at Honda Center in Anaheim, a crowd of 13,320 people, a record crowd for watching the national team ever play. I happen to be there with two good friends of mine. You guys win the game with Megan Bozak scoring in overtime on another loony, wild scramble to win the game there. But Hayley, more so, maybe minus the fact that you guys win this, that you win the tournament, you get the bragging rights over the neighbors up north, though. But what's the feeling like, though, in the locker room as you guys, you're playing this game in Southern California in February, the sun's shining, there's no snow. You guys could go to the beach or go over to the Pankowski residence, go to maybe the Barnes residence, because they live in Southern California. But what was that like, though, when you guys came out maybe for pregame warmups and saw the crowd? And not just that, though, 13,000 people in what people would call a non-traditional hockey market in Southern California. What was that whole day, maybe that whole weekend for you guys like? Because I know that you guys had like a clinic the next day. You guys got to see the USA women's national team play Canada up in Carson. Like, you guys had like a action-packed week. Plus, you guys got to play. There was Q&As, there was post-game meet and greets. There was all that sort of buzz around this game. And I think that the Anaheim Ducks hit a grand slam. They advertised this thing back in October. They got the word out early, and from there, I think I think Hillary Knight said it. I think Kendall Coyne said it. I think Megan Keller said it. You may have said it, but I think a lot of your teammates, I think like the whole team basically said, this is how it's done. If you want to get women's sports visible to the public and get it out there to let people come. And I think that was probably probably in my mind, probably the greatest game I've attended as a spectator, not having to work the game as a announcer, but just going there and seeing the pride, seeing all the USA jerseys, the Knight jerseys, the Pinkowski jerseys, seeing everyone out there. And then obviously, all the Canada fans that came out. I got to see one of my 12th grade teachers from high school at the game because she's from Canada. She loves the game. Huge Leafs fan. But Hayley, just, to the question, though, what was that whole weekend for you guys like, though, of playing this game and seeing that crowd and ultimately you guys win the whole thing, though, over Canada? But, of course, seeing that crowd, I think, though, I think was probably like, this is how it's done.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, the Anaheim Ducks just did an amazing job with the marketing, with, the events that we did prior to the games. I remember a few of us went out to a school in Anaheim, like a young kid's school, and they did like hockey outside. And so we got to like play with them. And I think we gave out some free tickets and they just were so excited. They had so much fun. We had a blast too. It was amazing. And just to see how excited they were for women's hockey and yeah, like on the ice too, like all the fans at the glass for the warm-ups and then during the game, just their energy like carried us through for that game and just, propelled us through the OT, I think too.
And I think it also helps so that you guys get to start the overtime period, though, on a power play because there was a late tripping penalty called. But I think, though, that maybe for folks who probably had never seen seen a women's game in person, though, it may not have like, the huge hits or the fights, but it certainly gets testy out there. I think especially, Hayley, I think you would agree, though, with it being USA Canada. I mean, you have, Casey having to get into a scrap with Melody Dawu in front of the bench area. Mm-hmm. And you have like the crowd kind of in a way rise up, though, because I don't know if they were obviously accustomed to the whole, hey, they can't really hit, they can't obviously, take the cages or fish bowls off and fight and go in for 5 minutes, though. But that there still is like animosity, like there still is, something going on there. And I think you're onto a great point, or that you made a great point, though, that the energy level, I think it kind of felt like it was like the energy like never had went down in the pond that night, even after Canada had tied or taken the lead or you guys had tied the game. Because I think people forget, though, that after Knight put Team USA up 1-0, Canada called their timeout. And like from that point on, the energy was never down. And I think if anyone could go back and rewatch the game or whatever, that it's definitely, once more again, that's how it's supposed to be done, though. And obviously we had a chance to meet, see you guys pregame warmups, high five line, see some of the players, saw Keller and saw Kendall and Alex Cavallini after the game was over. Part of the part of that whole thing of like, the post game meet and greets and stuff like that. But of course, obviously, Hayley, COVID, of course, wreaked havoc, of course, for obviously, for playing games, but also with everybody. But obviously, I think, one thing, of course, everyone wants to know, though, is, how'd you spend the quarantine, though? But also, I think that one thing that does get misconstrued here, though, is the lack of ice time, the lack of being able to train with, or practice with your teammates or with teammates in general. So, for one thing, how'd you spend the quarantine? But also, how difficult was it, though, for maybe you, but also fellow hockey players to stay in shape, though, and try and somewhat, stay sharp, though, in the midst, though, of, again, no ice time, maybe having to go and grab some rollerblades and, play inline maybe or shoot pucks in the backyard. How was that for you, perhaps, over the course of the last year and a half?
Yeah, at the beginning, it was really hard. Quarantine, I couldn't skate for the first like 2.5 months, maybe. And then even then, after that, the only rinks that were really open near me were like an hour drive away. So that was really difficult. And then gyms weren't really open. So I had to like kind of homemade gym. And, and then I'm on my own in Buffalo. I don't have a team to train with. I don't have other teammates to train with, really. So I'm kind of finding things on my own. And I, recently this past year, I found a boys team to practice with back home with the Buffalo Junior Sabres. And that was super helpful because I had real team practices like 3 times a week. So that was how I trained. And then I was able to work out in the gym on my own. And you make it work. There's a lot of girls in my position too. And I know that they're training just as hard and finding things, and we're all dealing with our own obstacles, but we find a way.
At the end of the day, you find a way. Also, Hayley, Ryan Burgess, PA voice for the Buffalo Beauts. I don't think he was going to make it. He wanted me to make sure that I said hi, that he wanted to say hi. So I was going to relay that message to you. One other quick question, Hayley, from Casey King. Casey's one of my other huge hockey friends. He's asking, Hayley, who do you like in both of the conference final series? I know that Tampa just tied up the Islanders, and I know the Knights are up 1-0 on Montreal, but what say you on this one?
Ooh. Well, my bracket, I picked Tampa and Vegas in the finals, so kind of hoping
Still looking good.
that's accurate. But I mean, it's fun series to watch. I mean, it's been awesome with the fans back in the stands. You just see how much of a difference it makes in Vegas. Like, oh my goodness, it is so much fun.
It's on another level in Vegas. It's beyond
Vegas
insane.
is not, that's true.
Because I ended up going to the award show in the expansion draft in 17 or 18. They actually honored Dana Lang, I believe, from the Boston Pride that night. Because, again, she had that freak accident during the outdoor game. She was honored for like a special award that night. And just like the vibe I got, being in Vegas, it's like 120 degrees outside. But that they obviously, they were in the running for a long time. They wanted hockey there and they got it. And it's been like second to none out there. So, I mean, I'm with you. I'm going with Tampa and Vegas. I mean, I kind of would like to see New York, though. It's been like 20 plus years they haven't been there. But,
Yeah.
I mean, I think we want to see the two heavyweights of the Knights and the Lightning in the Cup final for sure. But, Hayley, where do you think women's hockey, though, is right now? I remember reading a lot of commentary, good and bad, obviously, with, how women's sports social media posts are. But, where is the game right now? Because I do know a lot of people that went to the NHL All-Star game in St. Louis said, hey, the best part of that, of the festivities, USA, Canada 3-on-3, and, seeing Natalie Spooner, obviously seeing Hillary Knight and seeing, all the girls out there, with them partaking, 3-on-3, or even Hillary being in the giant, like a cornhole from the upper level contest, and her wearing those, very, nice, like diamond studded shoes, or even with obviously Kendall being a part of the fastest skater competition in San Jose. So really right now, Hayley, in your mind, where is the game right now? Because I think it's getting close to maybe being there, but I think that there are still a couple of like rungs on the ladder to climb up though. But I think to your point earlier though, how much more influence or how much more investment needs to be done by maybe the NHL as a whole, or maybe just teams in like local areas, for example, from your neck of the woods, the Sabres really investing in the women's game at this rate?
Yeah, I think, investment with like the individual teams would be super important. I think it'd be really helpful, and just to get us on a stage where we can play consistently in front of people and show people what we're capable of. I mean, we haven't really had that especially with COVID the past 2-3 years. So I think just somewhere where we can play consistently and be able to train with the team consistently and showcase what we have. Because anytime we do showcase it, majority of the time, everyone's like, wow, this is really great. Like, when else can we watch this? And, everyone gets excited about the Olympics. That's every 4 years, but like, we're all training and doing stuff every single year, every day. So we should be able to be shown to people.
Totally. I really think that, again, like we said, though, Hayley, representation matters. I actually saw Blake Bolden about last week. They had the public vigil for Jamie after her passing, and I'd seen Blake several times. Again, when she scouts for the Kings, she comes to the Gulls games in San Diego, working for the Kings. So we talk every so often and stuff like that. And that she's right though, that representation matters. I think it has so far, but also I think though, Hayley, is how about seeing, either teammates of yours or just seeing women in general, like Cammie, who's with Seattle now. I think Megan's got a job with the Devils. I think that pre-COVID, that Hillary was going to be on a broadcast with NBCSN with Catherine Tappan, I think, before the pandemic, though. How has it been, though, kind of seeing, that the hockey role is kind of, in a way, letting, more and more women into high-profile roles, not just broadcasting, but, for example, like front office roles or scouting, as it has been with either Blake or with Megan over the past year or two?
Yeah, I think it's huge, and it's, they're all, deserve to be there. They have amazing credentials, and they know they know hockey, and that's what it comes down to. And realizing it doesn't matter what gender they are, and that they are capable of making, of being in those front offices and being scouts, of being in, coaching positions. Kendall in the AHL affiliate with Chicago there, and more and more women are going to get these kinds of roles, and I think it's just it'll be like a trickle down effect for sure.
So, folks, we still have a few more minutes here. So if you want to keep asking Hayley questions, again, feel free to do so. We still got plenty of time. But if you want to keep asking Hayley some more questions, go ahead and do so. So, Hayley, I'm not sure that people really grasp this whole thing of basically you guys. And when I say you guys, I mean like some of the biggest names in women's hockey, starting your own league, like from square one, playing, like the Globetrotters. You guys are touring the country and playing games, hosting clinics, letting the public come and skate with you guys after games conclude. The PWHPA has been got back underway. I know that you guys played your round robin, and then Canada's played their round robin. And I mean, you're talking about playing at Madison Square Garden. I mean, I know that up in Canada they had played at Scotiabank Saddledome up in Calgary, and I know that pre-COVID, that the tour was supposed to go to Arizona. I know that Amanda Kessel had went in practice with the Coyotes. I think her and Megan Keller were both out there. I know that Amanda was out there because, of course, her and Phil obviously being brother and sister. But that you guys, I think, have kind of taken that initiative, though, of kind of, starting a new league and kind of, again, as you said, though, about representation, but also getting the game out there. I think that NBCSN did a great job. I think that NHL Network did a great job putting you guys on television. Because I remember watching the game from the Garden. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is awesome. I want more, and and I think that any casual hockey fan, casual women's sports fan, or casual sports fan in general, Hayley, is like, oh my goodness, the girls are playing. I want more. Like, where can I get more? And I think that you guys have done a stellar job of getting the game out there, going on the Dream Gap Tour, Billie Jean King's being involved with this. You guys have some great sponsors backing you guys. Again, the Garden, Scotiabank Saddledome. But Hayley, I know that there was a thing I saw, though, about a week or so ago that basically that right now people are somewhat thinking that the PWHPA and the NWHL are kind of like in competition. They're kind of comparing it to like the AFL and NFL, NHL, the WHA. But I think it's kind of like, what? Spare me that. I think it's great that we have two things going on, though. I don't think there's any like infighting amongst the players from either of these organizations, but that there's a common goal, though, to get a league to, obviously, with the wages, the travel, the accommodations, and being paid, along the same pay scale as the fellows are. But Hayley, in your mind at least, is there hope, though, that both the PWHPA and the NWHL could either merge or at least start kind of building towards making it one giant league? Because I think, though, like I said, though, like, spare me the rivalry thing. I think it's a good thing that we have two entities right now. But if they could somehow, kind of, mesh together, we're in for something very beautiful for women's hockey very soon.
Yeah, definitely. I think, we just have different ways of going about reaching that end goal, but we all want the same thing, right? And eventually it will just be one league, and we'll see how the chips fall there. And with COVID, things kind of set things back with the PWHPA and the goals that we had set, and things have changed, and we've adapted, we've changed, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and again, I really think, though, that you guys are, you guys hit a home run. I mean, with how, obviously, I think it was so cool, though, that obviously, the Rangers said, hey, we're going to put you guys at the Garden. We're going to move our game up to the afternoon, and then you guys can take over at night, play your game. But also that, the Garden, obviously, the national TV exposure with, Kenny Albert calling the game with Blake as the color commentator. But also, again, playing at Madison Square Garden like that. I got the tour of the Garden. I didn't get to see a game there. But, you think of the nostalgia, of Mark Messier and the Rangers. You think about, the Knicks. You think about Becky Hammond. You think about Teaspoon and the Liberty. You think about all the boxing matches. I think that John, though, had a very great question, though, Hayley, is what was the reaction, though, when you got to step on the ice at the Garden and actually play that game, though, at MSG? What was that like?
It was unreal. The arena itself is just, it's indescribable almost. And you just look up at the ceiling and it's like this cool, like acoustic look to it. And you think about all the concerts that have played there and all the famous singers and celebrities and all the unbelievable games that have played there. And it's just the history of it. It's just, it was, yeah, like I said, like in a surreal experience. And it was really, really fun to play on that rink. It was really awesome.
I mean, I got to tour the Garden, and just walking around there was just insane. I would have loved to have seen a game there, but it was in the off season. Actually, matter of fact, when I went there, they actually were putting the ice in, but they were putting it in for the Rangers for the preseason. But I know though, Hayley. So I mean, is there any plans right now, maybe post August or maybe next year, that the PWHPA kind of gets the tour back underway, though? I know that you guys, that you were obviously, you couldn't play against the teams in Canada because of the nature of COVID. And, you guys had to, you had to play the Minnesota region, very heavily, but it was all that you guys really could do, though, because of the restrictions. But I mean, New York, you guys got to play in Chicago and got to play in St. Louis, so, I mean, they're looking at, three very, well-attended cities. Obviously the Rangers have a great history in New York. The Blackhawks, of course, original six. The Blues, next six of the expansion, of course, Stanley Cup champs a couple of years ago. But Hayley, though, is there still a goal, though, for you guys to probably, I will compare it to the Globetrotters, though, of going on this tour, though, and going maybe to markets with NHL teams or markets, maybe like, for example, like San Diego, who have hockey, at the AHL level. Is there maybe in your mind, is there maybe, or could there be plans in place to kind of keep this momentum going, though? I know that you guys were going to go to Arizona. I mean, who knows where you got, maybe it could have been to California, perhaps to play at Honda Center or at Staples Center. But, is there or will there be plans for you guys to go back on tour probably post the IIHF tourney, or maybe even pre or before the Olympics next year?
Yeah, I think there's still plans to do Dream Gap Tour stops this coming year. And, because there's other players besides those that are being centralized and they need a place to play and games to do. And so I think there's still plans for that.
Beautiful. Also, real quick, I believe that John had one more question, or he's asking as well, Hayley. What is the biggest thing that you're looking forward to doing, either on or off the ice, after your career is over with?
Ooh, great question. What? I guess I'm looking forward to just kind of figure out what my next journey is. Honestly, my next path, my next passion. Hockey's been my greatest passion for my whole life, and it'll be sad when that comes to an end, but I know there's, good things in the future, and there's going to be other things that I'm looking forward to. I really want to grow the women's game in general. And I could see myself in a role in that off ice. So yeah.
We should make you an off ice official. That'd be amazing. Work upstairs maybe, or work in the box. Casey also says that the Garden is on his bucket list. Been by it, but has still yet to see a game there. I don't know, Hayley, what's your bucket list for maybe playing a game or being at a game? 'Cause I'm sure that you probably have been to numerous NHL games. I don't know if you probably got to see your dad play back in the day, but perhaps, though, I mean, what's that one arena that you probably would love to go and see a game at?
Be honest, right now, I think I want to go to Vegas to watch it.
That's the easy answer, right?
It's the easiest answer. It looks like a blast. I think just the experience of it would be really cool.
I do have to say this in a joking manner about HK21, because Hillary's my favorite player. I have her jersey behind me. I mean, if she can't root for a team named after her in Vegas, there's like something weird. I know she's been getting a lot. I know she saw a lot. I know that perhaps that a lot of the players, though, from Team USA got some care packages from Seattle, I think. I don't know. I mean, Hillary, come on now. I mean, you literally have a team named after you. I know it's tough living in Idaho, but it is what it is. Christy Wilson, Hayley asked, have you ever thought about becoming a coach?
I've coached like the little guys. I do like learn to play, which I really love that. I coached the 11U Junior Sabres teams, or team, sorry, singular. But it was really fun. But I don't know if I'd want to be like a head coach. I don't know if I have the personality for it or the attention to detail that it requires. But I do enjoy it with the young kids.
I have to give credit to, I believe it was Hannah Brandt, Danny Cameronese, and Lee Steckline, I believe, who became who are now coaching a team in Boston. I want to say that I think I heard about that today.
Yeah.
Yeah, good for them. That'll be very fun to see how that actually pans out. Also, Casey says, Hayley, thanks for coming on the show tonight. And also, John says, whatever you do, we all know that you're going to do great. We all here at the network believe in you for sure. And that all begins as well, Hayley, in August. Again, IIHF World Championship. Obviously, Hayley, I know was a very roller coaster of emotion for you guys, though, to find out so last minute. I mean, you guys had gone to camp. You guys were in camp, quarantining, following all the rules, though. And then literally kind of, hearing that press release come out or, kind of hearing that news, though. And I know that it was, this massive, a very huge, in a way, PR nightmare for the Federation to have this thing come out, though. I know that a lot of your teammates, yourself included, though, shared, their gripes and stuff. But I mean, I guess your thoughts more so about the Federation kind of in a way like trying to make up for it by moving the tournament back to August. I know, though, that I'm sure there are a lot of gripes, though, not just for Team USA, but I think it was Jill from Team Canada who I think put out like a very lengthy caption of like, talking down to the Federation about moving the tournament.
Yeah, I think it was a player effort too. I think, a lot of the captains of the teams all had a discussion and wanted to make sure that this was rescheduled. They wanted to make sure it wasn't just canceled because that would send a poor message after all these men's events have gone on with no flaws and no issues. And then, also the U18 women's never was rescheduled. So there's a lot of issues in that sense. And I think we had to fight for it to make sure that it was rescheduled.
And I mean, if it wasn't a reschedule, I think the gripes would have continued. I mean, again, though, rightfully so. I mean, it's in a way like we talk about representation, but I also think, though, we don't talk a lot about the double standards. I think, I think it was the head softball coach from OU had essentially come out and said, hey, we don't get days off, we don't get massages, we don't have showers, we don't have batting cages.
Right.
Like, why all these double standards? But I think, though, it's been great, though, Hayley, that people like yourself, but also other people, coaches, players, have gone so far as to saying, hey, why all these double standards with our game, but not for the men's games?
Definitely.
Again, folks, we have a few more minutes here. John, again, agrees, though, Hayley, that the double standards in sports are pure BS. I mean, I think that, I mean, honestly, like we said, though, Hayley, if your tournament was not rescheduled for August, I mean, there would have been more double standard posts out there for sure. And he also says, good for you guys standing up against all those double standards. With that, Hayley, just a couple more things here and kind of want to go, still kind of roll on a little bit more here. But Hayley, just some more kind of off the wall questions more so. But Hayley, if you weren't playing hockey, I ask this a lot actually to female athletes. If you weren't playing your sport, what would you be doing with yourself if you weren't playing, obviously, playing sports, post your time in college?
Oh my gosh. If I wasn't doing sports, it's a tough question. I think I would be working. I mean, I think I would choose something in like the healthcare or with, working with people, I think is something I enjoy doing where feel like I'm helping people. What exactly that would be, unsure, but.
I mean, and I think especially though, Hayley, in times of what we have gone through though, about people, maybe, during COVID last year, even up until now though, of people, trying their best to support small businesses and kind of support others and kind of being there. So crucial for sure. Also, Hayley, what's maybe the number one thing on your bucket list? Mine for me is still to be able to see the Cubs play a game at Wrigley Field. But I really don't have. I mean, I've been to a few other countries. I played baseball internationally and stuff, kind of like on that Team USA stage though. But what maybe for you though, what is that number one thing though on the bucket list maybe for you to check off the list?
I want to go to Greece. I think that's up on my list of things to do. Yeah, I would love to go to Greece.
Greece would be a great spot to go. I got to go to Italy in 2009, and super nice place. Spent a few days in Rome.
Hmm.
Played all my games in a little city called Nettuno, which essentially is where the U.S. troops brought the game of baseball to Italy during World War II and stuff like that. So Italy was a great place. Australia was great. Mexico was great. Things like that. I mean, if I have to throw maybe one more caveat is, and I actually told my the teacher I had met or had seen at the USA Canada game that you guys were playing at the pond in Anaheim was I told her that there was a project I had to do when I was in her class. She did like this very awesome like 3D like mapping class basically, and it was like hey, plan like you're plan a week long vacation. It's like okay, she's from Canada, so I think she would agree. And mine was to go and see a game at every Canadian NHL arena, go from San Diego to Vancouver, Calgary, Edmonton, so on and so forth, and end the trip in Toronto and then go see the Leafs play. Then obviously go to the Hockey Hall of Fame. And obviously, with Willie O'Ree going into the Hall of Fame recently and things like that. John also says, I definitely won't go to Canada again. He already got there or got lost there once. Yeah. I mean, that definitely is I mean, I've heard so many good things about Canada, Hale, but I've never been there yet. I really want to get there eventually because during the rivalry series, I think you guys worked like east to west basically in that rivalry series. It was like New Brunswick, then it was like to Victoria, Vancouver. Like you guys were like all over the place in Canada during that rivalry series, right?
Hmm. Yeah. And then the run before we did Toronto and London and then Detroit.
Detroit. Did you guys get to play at the Joe?
We did. It was
beautiful.
It was really fun. Yeah.
Yeah, check that off the list. Joe Louis
Yeah.
Arena is sadly no longer there.
And
I don't think.
To it. It's super nice.
Oh man, that's awesome. So Hayley, we're getting close. Or summertime is getting here like within a week. Obviously, Southern California, the beach is open 24/7. Like the pool is literally across the street from my house where I'm at here. But what is like the number one or your most favorite summertime activity? I'm sure that a lot of that you and your teammates do a lot of weird things, maybe, or do some great things during the course of the summer of the summer. But what would your favorite summertime activity be and why?
Just being outside in any capacity, honestly, even like rollerblading outside or hiking or just enjoying just being outside. And just Buffalo summers are just the best. They're 80 and sunny, no humidity. It's great. So any way to get outside.
I agree. Any way to get outside. I mean, go out and put the blades on, maybe play some hockey sauce on the beach, or, maybe rent a jet ski, rent a boat.
Yeah.
Somewhere in Buffalo. That'd be pretty nice.
Yeah.
Casey also says, I will never go to a Canucks game ever again in Vancouver. I had beer thrown on me at a Kings Canucks game after my Kings beat them. Nice venue, nice city, but fans are awful. But would love to go to see a game in Toronto. I think just going to any game in Canada would probably be like definitely on the list. Hayley, also, who probably in your mind is the person that you most adore? Probably
most adore.
Yeah, from your family. Like who would it be?
My nephew Braden.
I love it.
He's 2 years old.
Yeah, mine is a few weeks old, and he looks a lot like my older brother. So I definitely agree. And also, I think Hayley, one thing that probably gets maybe lost in the shuffle about team sports though is that you guys, that obviously you guys are a team on the ice. Though I don't know though if people really know though about how close knit though of a group. Mainly that a group like you guys is very very close. I mean obviously we know about social media and stuff like that, but that I don't know if I see a group of people hanging out as often as you guys with Team USA do. So with that, give me a few of your teammates that you probably, either have on speed dial to text somebody or like a few of your teammates who you probably hang out with the most, maybe on the road or in between games or maybe pre-games. Because I know that is a very, very knit and tight group in that locker room when you guys are in fact putting on the unis.
Yeah, I mean, close with all of them really. And then we've been through a lot together, and especially with just these past 2 years with everything being canceled all the time, we lean on each other, and we all just we rely on each other, but I'm close with a lot of the girls, Carpenter, Kendall, Hannah Brandt. There's so many girls. They're all just great, and any one of them you could pick up and text, and they would be there. So.
And I think that is the thing in my 9 years of being away from playing team sports is that, the teammate bond doesn't go away though. But I think that people just forget the how close knit though you guys are though, even away from the rink or away from practices and stuff like that. And, I mean, that's definitely a thing that people, I think, perhaps, forget or miss about team sports, though, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
John also says, I definitely need to learn hockey, but I can't stop tripping over my feet and falling down. And John also agrees. That is awesome to hear that the family value in sports, it is the best for sure. But Hayley, once again, Hayley, we thank you so much for joining us again tonight. And if you can, I mean, we'll let you tell folks where they can find you on the web, follow your adventures, obviously follow your adventures to hopefully a gold medal in August for Team USA, and also where they can also find out more about the PWHPA as well.
Yeah, just my handle's just my name, and follow the PWHPA for any updates as well, and follow USA Hockey for any women's updates. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Because I know they had to get very creative during the quarantine. And I know that they had taken several of your teammates and put them into these quarantine houses. Like, okay, which house are you going to? It's like, house 1, house 2, house 3, house 4. And it's like, they were mixing, women's players, men's players, gazillion celebrities. Like there was one house, I think, that had Jimmy Fallon in one of them. Like, it was great and stuff like that. But definitely they're on top of their game and stuff like that. But once more, again, folks, Hayley Scamurra joining us tonight here on the Sports Lounge. Hayley, again, we thank you so much for the time. We wish you all the best, and we look forward to hopefully having you back on in the future. Thanks again.
Okay, thank you.
With that in mind, folks, we'll see you back here in a couple of weeks for our next program here on the MI6 Sports Network. Again, a major shout out again, folks, to Hayley Scamurra for, again, joining us tonight, visiting family in Maryland. But with that, folks, till next time, good night and bye-bye.